Hi everyone, it's Roberta. I'm back today trying to make a card using the extra pieces of paper, die cuts, whatnot, from the project I made yesterday. And one of the things I was trying to figure out is how to get placement to stamp on a die cut when you should have stamped and embossed or stamped on it before you die cut it. And so if I wanted to emboss some of this pretty embossing powder on here, how would I do that? And with a MISTI, it is possible if you cut a piece of acetate to fit in the MISTI, put it down in the corner, and you could put a piece of white paper behind it. So I'm going to cut a piece. So I have a piece of white. And the purpose of having the white in the back is just so that it can be seen where the stamped image will show up. So this is going to go behind the acetate so I can see where the ink is. The acetate goes in the corner. I'm not going to worry about any of this stuff on the acetate. It always, the static on it pulls every little thing to it. I'm going to use a different stamp today, which would be this one. And I'm going to put it right about where I'd want to put my paper that I'd be stamping on. Pick it up. And the first thing I'm going to do is just ink it with black ink, because what I want to do with the actual die cut is to Versamark and emboss it. So for this I'm just going to I'm not worried about doing a lot of the ink on there, just enough to stamp the image. And so I can see where that's going to show up. So I'll make sure I get some of those edges, because those edges are important. Okay. So now I can slide this under and try to position it. Like that. And now I can take off. I have to remember to keep these little guys separated. Okay. Now with this down here, I'm just going to use the smallest little bit of tape to hold it in place. I think I got a piece on there. Okay, so now I want to wash this off, because I want to use embossing powder, not the ink. And I don't use baby wipes or any of that kind of stuff. I just use an old kitchen towel, 3 years now. That's all I use. I could use Tim Holtz Peacock Feathers dye ink because it's a similar color to what I'm going to be doing, but I'm just going to use Versamark. And I remembered the embossing powder because I rubber banded it to my Versamark. So I'm going to put it on here. Just to make sure it only gets the embossing powder where I want it. I'm going to ink up my stamp. Put this back on these papers. And let's see how well that worked. Like I said, it would be much easier to have done this when it was still in a whole piece of paper. So I'm going to leave the Misty as it is. I'm going to take this out. And because it's been taped to the white paper, when I put the powder on it, it shouldn't be, and when I heat emboss, it shouldn't be blowing all around. And I found this Aqua colored embossing powder. It's a real pretty color. It was in, I didn't buy a set. These were just some of the fluorescents. This is just an opaque one, but the fluorescent purple and the fluorescent green, both of them neon, were together, and this was there, and I picked them all up. That worked pretty good. Hi everyone, I'm back. So here's the flower that I embossed. Here's the acetate, which I've cleaned off. It was sticking on this washi tape. And I just want to put the acetate sheet back in the Misty behind this black foam so that it will be available the next time I want to use it. But there they go again. I keep forgetting. I'm lucky they haven't broke yet. So I have this little tiny card base because I'm not making a big card. I was going to make a little one. I have lots of little things here. I'm just going to play around until I find something that I like. I really like this color paper, and I want to run it through the embossing to get these little dots. Okay, so I have that cut. Now I just need to, I could use it either way, but I want to use it with the dots in the up position. Let's see what we have here. because this has been through the embosser, I want to make sure that there's enough adhesive on here to hold it in place, and that is the reason I'm using a wet glue. Normally I would just use tape. Ah. And because it's wet glue, I can also kind of slide it around until I get the placement that I'm happy with. And I have glue on here, so I'm just going to flip this over real quick. Use that one. It has some melted embossing powder on the back from when I had it on here and the embossing powder got behind. This printed paper in the back has yellow and purple and blue, so I'm just trying to find a way to pull in some of those colors. This is one that I cut in half just to see if I can find a way to use this one. See, that's still tacky on that side. So I'll just use that little bit to hold it in place and see what we have. Of course, then I put it on backwards. That's not going to help me, is it? Okay. A little bit on this side, just so I can see. If I don't like it, I can always take it off. And that will just fit on here. I'm just going to go ahead and finish adhering that down. Oh, and that little bit moves. Some of this to adhere this down. Now I need to come up with a sentiment. Let me get a block to hold this in place so it doesn't. I need the glue to get a chance to adhere down. I need some of this white paper that's got blue spray on it. Use a piece of this one. And I want to use the same embossing powder. Use this. And then a stamp with a sentiment. This is one of my favorite sentiments. One of my favorite stamp sets from Stampin' Up. It's called Eastern Bloom. And the sentiment is Embrace Life. This only needs to be so big. I'll go ahead and cut it down. Sorry for all the noise. See if that one works. Yeah, that one worked a lot better. So for the letter B, so let's look at the stamp. You can see on the B and even on the L that it's got a bigger little loop-de-loo on there than it should have. And the E, again, does not have as much EP as it should have. So on the D, I want to get rid of some of it. Seems to be more from this side. And it did it again. This goes a little further than I want it to and scraping something off, so then I have to start over. Okay, that should work. So now I just need to cut it so it'll fit. but I need to let it cool off so that it's not still hot and melty. And if I could cut straight by hand, I would, but I cannot. And this was not stamped straight either, so. We do it this way. I don't think I need any tape. Just needs to move this like little hair just to get it right. Alrighty. And it's a little wonky, so I'm just going to cut it a little wonky too. Just so it's a little different. And it's not going to lay down on here because of the embossed of the paper. Let's see if that'll work. This has a white edge on it too right now, so I'm going to go ahead and color that as well. And this color is Blackberry Bliss paper. The ink is not, it doesn't really have a color, I just call it eggplant. It's one of my favorite ink colors, this eggplant. I love the Blackberry Bliss of the Stampin' Up. It's one of my favorite colors in their inks and papers. Let's see. that'll lay on there a lot better now. I'm not making sure that the paper is straight, just that the sentiment is straight. Okay. And I should probably put some little, let's see if I have a ribbon that matches. Little bit's got stain on it. Let's see what we can do. Ah, scissors that don't cut. They're terrible, aren't they? I'll recut them with a better pair in a minute. Do it this way. I want the ribbon up closer in between here, and I'll be able to slide it into position once I get it tied. Normally tying a ribbon would be no big deal, but on a card, you gotta get it just right to make it work for what you want. A little bit more over here. I can't seem to do anything as quickly as I would like to today. And all I'm doing is tying it off. I'm not trying to make a bow. I bend the card a little, allows me to just slide this a little bit because I tied it tight so it would stay in place. If I want to move it, I need to bend the paper just a little bit. Better scissors, that's what I need. The good ones to cut this. There we go. Much better. Let's see if I have some something pretty to put in the center of the flower. actually a lot for there. I do some pearls. And do a little one in the, or the larger one in the center. And then some of these smaller ones. It's on my finger. Most of these do not keep that bit of adhesive with it. It ends up sliding off partway. So much focus to get these things in here in place. And I'm not going to worry about doing all of the little ones. I think that's pretty enough like that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here's my newest card. Let me know what you think of my little technique of stamping on a pre-cut die cut when you meant to stamp on it first. Let me know what you think of that idea. Let me know what you think of my card. Just do a thumbs up and leave me a nice comment. Let me know what you think. Have a blessed day. Thank you.